Okay. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Strange New Show. Keith and Mike. Well, I tell you what, we watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds. That's what we do. And today, we are going to answer the question, who is Starfleet? Where is Starfleet? And why? When is Starfleet? Yeah, how's it going, Mike?
It's going good, Keith. I was so defeated because I was trying to watch this with the patrons last night. Patreon launched their own live platform.
Really?
Instead of the OBS Ninja scenario. So I was like, oh, this is great. But it is clearly still in a beta situation.
Not ready for prime time.
Video was choppy. The audio was being gated. There's no pro stereo audio. So there's all kinds of... So we tried to switch over, and then my computer decided to crash. All kinds of crashing. And so sometimes, if you want something done correctly, you got to do it in the solitude of your own... basement real late at night, so that's what I'm doing. Keith, now I hear myself. I think
you do.
I think I hear myself through your cans because you listen loud.
I've got in-ears.
Doesn't matter. That's how
you
loud
think
it
I
is.
wouldn't?
Anyway,
I mean, to be fair, yes, I do listen very loud.
Point of the story is Cadet Ellie's away at sleepaway camp, so it's sad and lonely around here, but we're gonna make do. We're gonna make do.
Yeah, you know what? It's I shouldn't have looked at the news today. It's not a great day in general. So for those of the people who are watching this close to the day that we're airing it, save your thoughts and prayers. Let's go with rage and accountability, but that ain't gonna ever happen. So
well, I asked Keith not to tell me, and now I know. So
yeah. So there you go. Anyway, let's stay in our fictional world here, where there is an organization that helps navigate the universe in a compassionate and reasonable way.
Unless you shoot it with gotcha questions, Keith.
Gotcha. Oh, hard-hitting gotcha.
Errol Flynn is here today.
Errol Flynn. Hilarious.
So we speculated there would be a documentary-style episode. We've gotten it here in episode 7, leaving 3 episodes to glory to see how we close out the season.
I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy that there's only 3 episodes left. But here we are. Mm-hmm. And I was actually on somebody. A better podcaster would have written down the name and given a proper credit to this. But somebody on one of the Deep Space Nine threads on Facebook was like, there should have been an episode like this on Deep Space Nine from Jake's point of view. As a reporter covering the war, there absolutely should have been a Jake documentary of the war episode.
Well, what you'll hear a little bit later is sort of one of my overarching criticisms of this episode is that it took hot take. It takes a swing at being Deep Space Nine-esque and sort of, in my opinion, runs away. Oh, the dryer's done. I'm going to go fix that in a moment when you start talking. But
nice.
I feel like it punts a little bit, but we'll get there.
Well, I mean, I guess we're going to do this episode backwards. Mm-hmm. So we're going to my feeling, and I've been getting this feeling in general about this show, about all of contemporary Trek. All of new Trek, and hey, hot take here. My problems with new Trek is not because it's woke, you trolls. My problem is, I think these short seasons do us a disservice because we're doing this episode trying to understand what is Starfleet and like this big concept that the ism that the entire series, the entire franchise is based around, the benevolence of Starfleet and the concepts of it and how do we navigate in the universe and blah, 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 blah. Well, these are kind of too big of a concept to sort of just talk about once we don't like it. It just needs more time to develop so that we see the world that we're in. And I've talked about this before, but it's like we don't really know what Starfleet is because we're only like one season into this, one season of 90s Trek into this, right? So there are 26 episodes in the first couple seasons of the 90s Trek. Well, we're on episode 27 right now. So we are in season 1 of Next Gen or Deep Space Nine. So we haven't had enough world building to even know what Starfleet is or why Starfleet is or explore how we relate to other cultures. We just don't have the runway to really get into these issues. So we're sort of talking about something that we haven't lived in or have the lived experience because everything is sort of rushed. So we're have to work in shorthand with all of this, or rely on our cultural knowledge of the other series to oh, okay, so like we have a reference point for what Starfleet is through this episode. This episode relies on us having known Next Gen and Deep Space Nine and Voyager to really know what Starfleet is, because in the new Trek we haven't had enough time to really know what Starfleet is.
It's funny you say that because one of the things that you've often praised about this property is that they are willing to play with the length of the episode since they have that freedom.
Right.
And so, hey, as Keith just said, this could be an episode we could have gone, 75, 80 minutes if we really wanted to really explore this. But this is the shortest episode of the season, right? 38 minutes we're clocking in.
But the thing is, like, this episode could have been 3 hours and not accomplished it because our understanding of Starfleet comes from the world building that is seasons long, right? So by the time we're in season 4 or season 5 of Next Gen, we have seen how do we deal with all of these different situations and all of these different cultures and all of these ethical quandaries, so that we have, through the Picard speeches, a real sense of our identity and our ethics and our laws and our rules. And but it just takes multiple examples. You can't show it through one example. You have to show the entire world building. You have to show how it navigates with the universe, not one specific thing. And so therefore it feels like, okay, cool, we're sort of doing Encounter at Farpoint here, but I don't have enough of a reference point. If I didn't have the knowledge of 300 episodes of previous things.
Let me cut you off because I don't. So let's talk through this episode. Let's get into the meat of it, and we can and because I think I might end up. There was a lot I liked. And I don't want to undercut that.
No,
it's just it's funny. Let's keep on with it then. What is Starfleet as a title proposes a very specific episode. And what I end up is asking other questions, like, what is this episode actually trying to say? Is this about what is Starfleet? Is this more about, like, what is editorial voice in a documentary? Or is it neither of those things and more what could have been just a cool episode that got put, they poured too much stink on it. So
I think it is both of the first two things that you said. However, what it is an outline of an episode about those two things. Like, they hit all of those beats, but they didn't really like flesh it out. So it was like, again, it relied on me being a Star Trek nerd. I got everything, right? But if I weren't, it would have been like, whoa, what's happening here? Anyway, let's talk. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and you're a Star Trek nerd, and what I am is a documentary nerd. And so I have, I also viewed it through the lens of, all right, they've been teasing this. We're going to get a documentary episode with Beto being around. Beto. And is that satisfying, right? Is the unique perspective satisfying? These are all questions we will be asking when we discuss what is Starfleet starting now. So about the episode, this episode aired on August 21st, 2025, just 6 days ago, if you'd believe it. The top song, now we're going to do a little switcheroo here, because the top movie was K-pop Demon Hunters. Of course, yeah.
But their song was not the first place. It was Ordinary. Alex Warren's Ordinary retook it. So I had no idea that K-pop Demon Hunters was a feature film that was released in theaters, but apparently it was.
It was not. it was released on Netflix only, but now they have released the sing-along version in theaters because it's so popular.
Wow. Well, it was the top movie. They made $19 million by doing that. Who knows? But it's Netflix, so they're probably going to cancel it 45 minutes into the movie, even though it's the most successful thing on the platform.
Billionaire's gone $1 billion.
What a tax! Can I cancel myself and use it as a tax write-off and become like wealthier as a result for some reason that I don't understand?
I can officially say you're asking the wrong person.
So the weekly world news headline from 20 years ago. Look out, folks! We got a problem.
We sure do.
We do.
Mike doesn't
we
know
do.
where the button is. Oh, there it is.
There it is. We don't have any more oil.
Oh man.
Oh boy. You know.
Russia.
This was 20 years ago. So luckily, we have sorted out our reliance on fossil fuels, and we've walked away from that, and so we've saved our climate change, and we don't need to worry about when we run out of oil.
Teens have pets tattooed.
I mean,
Al Capone's ghost storms White House. Great one.
This episode was directed by Sharon Lewis. This is Sharon's first episode.
Where's Bran?
Huh?
Oh, you didn't watch TV as a child. There was a show called Sharon Lewis and Bran.
What the hell's that?
It was like a kids show. Like they sang songs. It was all about folk music, and they sang about like education. Sharon Lewis and Bran, folks. You know, skidamarinky dinky dink, skidamarinky doo.
Well, I know that song.
That's Sharon Lewis and Bran.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because we sang that song in preschool. It was a really good song, but it wasn't on PBS, obviously.
No, I don't know what channel it was on. I will look up though, because now I need to know.
Because I feel like that feels not like slimy enough for Nickelodeon.
But if it was called Sharon Lewis.
But if it wasn't on PBS, if it was on PBS, then I would probably know it.
Bram with an M, Sharon Lewis and Bram.
Okay.
They were Canadian, of course. All good things.
Oh, CBS or CBC maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Ontario. Let's see. Where's the show? Oh, Lois died? This is terrible news. The Elephant Show, it was called. It was on CBC. So we ended up getting, I don't know, because I watched a bunch of CBC shows. So we must have been getting it through like Nickelodeon or some sort of cable.
So they must have
channel,
like sub-licensed it in the States. See, I got CBC over the air when I was a kid, but I didn't watch the kids.
Yeah, so it was the Elephant Show. They had an elephant in like costume, sort of it was like a proto Barney almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there we go. The more you know, folks. The more you know. So, What is Starfleet was written by Catherine Lynn, who last worked on Space Adventure Hour, and Alan B. McElroy, who this is Alan's first episode of Strange New Worlds, but he wrote on 8 episodes of Disco. So let's do some trivia, shall we? Now, Keith, waste your time.
With what?
With trivial trivia. So, just a couple of things this week, because, you know, sometimes there's... Oh my goodness, look how big I am. I'm enormous.
He hit
what
something.
happened?
He hit something.
Tux, just because you're pudgy doesn't mean you have to make everybody else pudgy.
He's like, you watch.
Yeah. So, in her interview, Una says, someone once said that space is dark and cold and full of death. Our job is to bring light, bring warmth, and bring light. Well, guess what? That someone was William Shatner in real life, because she is paraphrasing Shatner's descriptions of the emotions he felt after his 2021 flight aboard the Blue Origin rocket that took him into space.
Cool.
And he said that it was the most profound experience I can imagine. I'm so filled with emotion about what just happened. It's extraordinary. So a little soft break there, quoting Shatner in the Star Trek world. I like it.
Keith has breathed the same air.
I technically we all have.
Well, okay. Yes. Keith was close enough to breathe the same flatulence.
What a beautiful thought. What a beautiful thought.
I thought while we were on this,
But whose flatulence? That's really the question. Or was it flatuli? Who knows?
That commingled brew is a rare commodity.
I mean, I always bet on flatuli. All right. One of the documentary cameras buzzing around Captain Pike's face while he's trying to concentrate. he says, turn that damn thing off, which of course is a reference to Generations, where Captain Harriman says the same thing. Or Kirk does. So he says, turn that damn thing off. So there we go. The second Shatner reference in this episode.
It's actually a technical wormhole question I have about that. Like we've seen, because there's a lot of handheld shots in this, but you never really see Beto with a handheld camera. So you're assuming that it's the drones, but the drones have stabilization. We've had better gimbals now.
100%. Well, so then I would assume then that the shakiness of the drones is a directorial choice, an affectation from Beto, wanting to feel like an old-timey documentary.
I'll allow it.
Certainly it could be stable at that point. All right, so our guest stars include Melanie Scrofano as Marie Battelle, although she was merely a featured background actor in this, didn't have any lines. Minor Lucan as Beto Ortegas, Sean Mahmouder, I don't know if it's a soft J or hard J.
MacGruber?
Majumder as Trinvor, and Steffi Di Domenico Antonio as Dr. Gayoud. I sucked at names this time.
That wasn't great.
That wasn't great, but luckily, it is now time to hand off the name work to my buddy over there, who always does great.
We have patrons, and I disappoint them regularly with failed streams that we try. But whether the stream fails or not, I cobble something together for the patron page. You can watch us watch Deep Space Nine. We have a couple of additions.
Yes.
This week. So thanks to the people who will continue to help us. At the end of the day, we need help just to offset our time because it's a lot.
We need help in a lot of ways. But we should welcome Gala and Floria, and welcome back, old guys eating oatmeal.
Yes, welcome back to all. And to those of you who have shifted up or down in your rankings, know that the rankings are all just about your hearts. And we know that all of you are giving, and giving is whatever you can, and we appreciate it no matter the level. We love you more inside, just like you rank your kids, if you give us more. But by no means is it necessary. Just kidding.
Wow,
just
way
kidding.
to undercut. Yeah. All the rankings are like the points in whose line it is it anyway. They're all made up.
Yes, that's true. Thank you to our patrons. You can join that team at patreon.com/K&M.
Yes. Wow, you added a sound for the patrons entering the room.
And what can I say?
Wow, look at you. All right. Mike, I think it is time to get into that screening room.
I won't give it away, but I am. All right, let's just roll. We begin, Keith, with a new aspect ratio.
Yes, we're 16:9, baby.
And also with with documentary framing and an FOIA card letting us know that there's like a disclaimer at the top declaring that the footage has been declassified, which is a nice touch. And they're pretty consistent with the aesthetic all the way through of the documentaries, which I like. Beto's narration is asking us, what separates the Federation from an empire? Is it, are they a completely peaceful organization, or is it just sort of a front for a military organization? We're seeing rapid cuts of a lot of weapons lockers, combat drills. The framing definitely seems to, early in the episode, indicate a sort of potential editorial bias or opinion, which is never good for.
Well, or
highlighting.
It's an expose of the truth. I mean, I don't think that in a lot of cases, right? We talk about colonizers, and he does sort of talk about it this way, for any large organization that is this powerful, you have to sort of keep asking the question and not taking their word for it on what it is.
100%. I'm not trying to editorialize myself. I will say, though, I personally prefer documentarians when asking questions like this who remain neutral as narrators, less so like your Michael Moores, who are more provocateurs and have, I don't want to call it an agenda, but have chosen a side, right? Or not staying neutral in any way.
Well, look, for me, I want them to tell the truth. And sometimes the truth has a side.
I think we can agree on that. So we start with some direct-to-cameras, which is cool because we don't usually get that, right? We're usually observers, and now we're getting direct-to-cameras, which is a cool perspective.
And some very close-up shots of some very attractive people.
I kept saying that. I was like, so much close-ups.
Spock is drunk, apparently.
Yeah, Pike, he's calm, official. He cites the oath to obey orders, uphold the law, that kind of good stuff. Ortegas, she's in her quarters. She's the only one because her brother. She's like, you're not going to get a soundbite from me, basically, is her vibe. Spock, we see him practicing his mind melds and his meditations, and he does have a cool quote. On Vulcan, his humanity was not accepted, but in Starfleet, he's allowed to explore it. We get a lot of Spock.
Which is cool. Like, yeah. I think that is, if you're really going to push into what makes Starfleet, and allowing people to explore who they are and embrace all aspects of themselves, that's very Starfleet. I like it.
Unless they're augmented.
Fair.
Then we see La'an. She's talking about. I'm rushing. Excuse me. You see it, and she's talking about her scars, her vigilance. Service is about being prepared when others aren't, and some
lots of pew
and awesome guns. That was 100%.
This is it is interesting how the set design here works, because that is a very aggressive display of guns that is not like organized in an official way. Like, it's not organized efficiently is what I mean. And like, it is that is the gun display of a small penised American, not necessarily a
I'm not shocked that that's where we got to, but I'm surprised that we got there that fast. But this does reaffirm my early observations that he's taking opportunities to find weapons and to frame the military aspect of things early in the episode.
Yeah. And also I think it's striking here because we go to it so many times. We go to the quarters set that they have.
The ready room,
this one here, they have one set for like the quarters that they redress over and over and over for every single quarters, and the workout room and the ballroom and the whatever. And it was a little more obvious this time that that's what was happening.
The cool part about the documentary footage and the using this sort of declassified security cams and such is that we get a lot of cool looks at a lot of practical set, which is cool.
And we get angles that we don't normally get.
Yes. I have comments on that later, but I'll save it for now. What La'an says, which I think is really cool, and as a documentarian, what I like about this, he posts his question, and then he's listing initial thesis, right? They're getting kind of great one-liners, and she says that Starfleet is about service, and service is about being prepared when others aren't, which I thought was cool.
And boy, did she have a crazy pew-pew outfit. She did her hair.
Yeah, I'm prepared. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's.
I'm standing at ready, Keith.
Mike's pew pew is ready to fire, so to speak. Probably also will just leave a puff of smoke and
this new medication disagrees. So, Una talks about service beyond borders. Starfleet aids both Federation and non-Federation worlds, so that's a precursor to where we're going. We hear Uhura. She's speaking a little bit about loss and how it gave her the chance to find herself again. So now we gotta talk about what's happening, the context of the war. There's a staggering number of casualties in this conflict that we're entering into. We're not really entering. We have 9 million Lutani dead, over 100,000 Kassar casualties. And Pike delivers our orders, Keith. Here's what we're doing this week. We have to transport classified cargo to Latani 7. That's about all we're going to learn about that.
Right. So we're going to try to help out the people who are losing much more
Yes.
people.
The only person to object or to kick back is Ortegas, who actually I like, who's the most defiant in this episode throughout, which is pretty cool. Reminding everybody that Lutani used to be pirates. They used to align with the Klingons, and all of a sudden we're helping them out, and what kind of cargo is this?
All relevant questions.
Yep, and this is great stuff for Beto's kind of thesis because we just linger. Great. Okay, let me go back one. Let's just talk about this now. I'll get it out of the way, and I promise I won't harp on it. I have this pet peeve. And my pet peeve is like, okay, so You know those movies, like usually horror movies, where like we're gonna do this whole movie, but it just happens on FaceTime or happens on screen.
It's all found footage, right?
Not found footage. It's more like screens. We're doing like. They usually fall into one of two categories of bad, meaning like either the footage is too clean in HD and like 4K, and you're like, that's not how laptops look, right? Or it's the other way. We're in the future. Right? This overlay and this like scraggly stuff, like this is not how footage would look. I have better footage on my Ring cam.
We have better footage that we're recording right now in our basements.
And I get what we're doing. You're there, but it's one of the. It feels like a dum-dum hammer where you're like, look, this is documentary.
Right.
This is the documentary stuff. We got it. Right? Just show me cool stuff. Like the drone flying around, being all like POV perspective, like these 360 shots, is what I would expect.
Well, and you would expect that. Well, I guess the question is,
it's not like they're running out of storage.
No, well, I mean the documentary itself, right? He might be shooting in a particular medium for his own affectation. Like I'm shooting in 8mm to represent whatever. The security footage, I would imagine that it would be more than just a static camera. At this point, they'd probably be 3D scanning the entire room as opposed to a flat image, because like if it's security footage, you don't just want the static image, and they have the ability to 3D scan. We have the ability to 3D scan now so that you can see the whole...
So let me, it feels like we're getting into the weeds of it. So let me zoom out.
We're nerds.
Let me zoom out. I would have hoped, and what I was looking forward to, because to juxtapose, look at all the close-up stuff. It's high res, super close, high def footage. So his aesthetic, that argument is like a little flimsy, because...
Well, the security cameras are separate.
Yeah, but even his like drone footage is very... Anyway,
yeah.
Not the point. My point is I wish they had chosen a cool aesthetic that is different from our normal setup and stuck with it, right? If it's gonna be this 8mm type stuff, stick with it, right? Let's see it. But the back and forth felt jarring and made it feel a little forced. Keep that in mind, the forced aspect.
Yeah, I will say though, as you were talking about getting these different angles.
Awesome.
So this is the first time, at least I remember, seeing the other side of this room, where they have like a little love seat, couch, like hangout area.
It's cozy in there.
It's super cozy. It's odd for their office, right? For their meeting room to have that little cozy hangout area.
Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, it looks great. I mean, I want that to be my living room. Don't get me wrong, but it is interesting.
So why are we helping them? All those kinds of things. That's the questions we raise here.
Yeah, basically, like, should we be giving arms to any side in any conflict?
Yeah, to which it's basically these are our orders, we got to do it. So, her brother follows her into the corridor, he wants a statement from her. She doesn't break stride because people are dying. This is the job. She dismisses him.
Right.
Like I said, I really like her performance in this because she's not the comedic afterthought,
right?
Comedic relief in every scene. I pretty much enjoy.
Well, we're continuing on the new Ortegas after the Gorn incident.
Yes, which I like. They kind of heard us screaming that. So Uhura explains that the cargo is a Jakaru, a massive spacefaring organism that is basically on the cusp of independent interstellar life. The emissions are patterned and structured. They seem more like language to her than random noise. When he presses why it's being delivered, he asks sort of the questions of his documentary. Why is he being delivered into a war zone? She shuts him down. That's outside my orders. She's big on the I don't go above my pay grade here.
Right.
So we finally, the Bay Dwarves reveal, we finally get to see the Jakaru. I'm not saying it right. The Jakaru.
I don't know.
Whatever. It's huge. It's cool. It's clearly glowing.
And it's a life form.
It's a thing.
We're sort of denying its sentience, but it is definitely a big life form that we are transporting.
Yeah, a lot of observation. Chapel sees it's got some sort of injuries, and Benga sees some neurological scarring, all that kind of stuff. I think something like conditioning, animal conditioning.
Yeah, so I mean, look, the reveal of this, I think it's just, we might as well just reveal it because we've all seen this, right? So it's like this big
weaponized monster.
It's a weaponized creature. It's a war horse.
It's a fighting
It's
dog.
a whatever. And they have been essentially torturing this thing and turning it into a weapon. And a powerful one at that.
So yeah. So that's what we have to wrestle with, and
which we slowly find out.
Yeah, they kind of slow reveal it, and they're always see it. It is cool, I gotta say. It is cool looking. I think the idea of it is pretty neat.
Well, it's obviously for everybody else. And I guess, Mike, have you seen the pilot of Next Gen?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it's basically a take on Encounter at Farpoint. This whole thing.
You mentioned that earlier, and I didn't really know what you meant.
Which is the pilot of Next Gen. Similar situation, spoiler alert, from 1987. But in an interesting sort of cover there.
So we missed a beat there. I don't know if I didn't get any shots. A Latani ship approaches it. It's interested in the Chikaru or to see what's going on here, and then the creature blows it out of the sky, basically.
Right, but and we find out that it's actually the Latani scientists saying, "Don't do this. Like, our people are doing something wrong."
Right. So they beam back the main scientist onto the medical bridge, and that's where, first of all, cool design of this Latani, and they're like, "Yo, we made a terrible mistake." Before we get any more information, just gnarly death.
Oh God, I don't think I clocked how gnarly that was.
Yeah, this was a terrible, awful mistake.
Like, that's like the shoulder blades sticking up. Ew.
Yeah, it wasn't good. That's cool design, man. That's just great.
It's horrifying.
Cut to, man, I gotta remember, what is the actor who plays Joseph Mbenga's name?
Bob's something. I have to look it up.
Just freaking great in every scene he's in.
Always
I have
great.
to say, yeah.
Always great.
So he speaks directly to camera, being asked if medicine is complicit in war, patching up soldiers to fight again, blah, blah, blah. He answers clinically, curtly. Then they put up a screen and call him on all he asks if he ever killed anybody, and it gets awkward. But it's a great juxtaposition.
Well, and especially for Mbenga, who we know to be like a super soldier.
Yeah.
On top of being a doctor.
But, the cut right here, early on in this...
the Ghost.
The cut here early in the documentary is definitely leaning heavy on the raising suspicion, asking questions, putting a lot of... Like, we know Mbenga to be really... Well, I guess we don't know him to be altruistic, ultimately.
Well, we know him to be a tortured killer. He's a super soldier.
He also sort of asks him, have you ever stored a daughter in the buffer array? Pretty much asks him directly. He's like, no comment. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, fair.
Uhura speaks to very close. I mean,
very close.
That, although I get it because there's some heat between the two, so maybe,
that
he can't stay that far away from his subject.
Ask me any questions, Mike?
Starfleet gave her identity and purpose after tragedy. Sometimes the burden feels overwhelming, but connecting through communication keeps her going. Listen, some of the writing in this episode is real heavy-handed. Like, I get it. I get what we're saying, but it feels very heavy-handed to me sometimes. Some of their quotes, and I get it. We're defining a very big altruistic idea, but I'm saying early on. I think they ground it a little better later, but early on it.
Well, I agree with you. Like, I wouldn't put it heavy-handed. I'd put it short-handed.
Sure.
Because all of this had to happen so fast. I don't remember half of these things because it's been bump so fast. We didn't let anything settle in. Mm-hmm. So, like, we have all this great backstory and all these whatevers, but like, oh, right, that thing, because we had to address that in 30 seconds in one episode. That was an exploding
like
something.
Her friend who she went to camp with or whatever, who she finds out died in the Cayuga and she didn't even know it. I get the point we're going for, but did we know about that, or that's just like exposition we're getting now?
I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's so, they only, because they have 10 episodes and not 26, there's a frantic pace to everything, so nothing settles.
Yeah, Yeah. Okay. But she's I don't want to put this on the actors. I don't think they're delivering it with any sort of like triteness. It's just it feels trite because, like Keith said, it's just kind of truncated. I get the point he's making here. He's like, hey, like you're talking about connection and being so close to people, but when in the pursuit of Star Trekking, people die, so many people die, you don't even know it.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Well, yeah. And
in a very cool scene, which I think is this ready room scene right here. The way it's shot in the top third, kind of very off, unfocused in the distance, and it's Pike and Number One getting redacted communications from Starfleet, basically telling them, don't ask any questions, just do your effing job. So much for open communications, and we all love each other, loudy dowdy. Great, probably the best scene shot to demonstrate one of the sides of the thesis.
Yes. If only the dialogue hadn't been also kind of ham-fit. So, Number One, what do you feel about this ethical quandary that we are in? And it's just like, well, it's just like people don't talk like that unless you have to like get this idea in 20 seconds.
It's also like, no, I'm not giving up my command. No, like he's being reprimanded, which is funny to me only because every episode he's like, I take what Starfleet orders and dismiss it out of hand and will be doing my own thing, thank you. Every episode.
Well, that is what happens here.
Yes, correct. I'm not giving up my command, Admiral April. Okay, so
Michael, what do you think of this ethical quandary? Please state what your feelings very, very quickly.
So we kind of recircle the bowl here again, the next scene or two.
Another great shot where you see angles you don't normally see. Love that.
I don't really need the thing and the lines. We could just have the shot without, it just is a lot. Okay, sorry. The aesthetic doesn't read for me. I'm just I wanted so much more from it. We circle the bowl again. Spock is mapping O'Hara's data, and the verdict is this is language. There's a scan from Mbenga who's like, plus it's got neurological trauma.
And we see that it's got a chip in its head.
Yeah.
That is forcing it to zap it for control, and also forcing it to be aggressive and angry.
So basically, we can no longer hide behind we're just carting cargo, right? We have to make an ethical decision. Yes.
Right.
Which is cool. And they talk about it, and we get a lot of close-ups.
And so we get to sort of the actual ethical quandary beyond, do we deliver weapons to one side in a war? It's like, oh, what if this weapon is a sentient creature that has been tortured into being a weapon?
Yeah, which is cool. I like.
Which is where we get into the actual, that feels Star Trek-y all of a sudden.
This is what I'm saying. It's a really cool episode and a cool science fiction premise, but it doesn't even get to be about that. It sort of does. I think that premise is so interesting that it actually overtakes the episode. Like it's
we get to the point finally.
Yes, well said, Keith, and maybe we should too. We get another La'an soundbite, or we're about to. There's a lot of screenshots of this, us deciding whether we should or not. Okay, yeah, and she basically says that Starfleet's given her a chance to channel her survival instinct into purpose. Without it, she would have been consumed by anger, which I think is pretty cool.
Also great.
Yeah, and I like the turn for her as well, because we saw in the first season or two, she was consumed by anger, and she was just kind of in her feels all of the time, and she has turned a corner as too. So, though a lot of the pacing has been weird over these seasons, there has been character growth, so I do appreciate that we have seen some growth in some of the characters.
In some characters, yeah.
Yes, in some. This is a cool little, in the lab, Spock lays out his harmonic equations, and Uhura interprets them, and he's
going to try to communicate telepathically with the creature.
Yeah, because he had some like tingles in his tingle sensationers earlier when the creature was blowing shit up. So, but this is a cool scene because I think it kind of triangulates logic, the communications aspect, and medicine, which is basically the cool part of it's like intersection of Star Trek.
Well, and also that when faced with this sort of scary creature that can blow us out of the sky, it's a weapon or whatever, our job is to try to communicate with it as opposed to control it. And that is where we get into what is Starfleet, right?
Yes.
Starfleet is the thing that tries to communicate as opposed to control.
In our jumbles, I guess I should have mentioned earlier that she has made overtures about communicating with the creature throughout the episode that have been rebuffed, right?
Right. She's trying to Starfleet saying, don't do it. Because Starfleet at the top knows that we're not going to be on board with this if we knew what's happening.
Great pull quote for the documentary. In her last little interview there, she says, Starfleet to her is about listening until meaning emerges. It's not a soundbite. That's her philosophy.
That's a great line.
Yeah. Then we have the bridge debate where basically Pike is asking, is this ethical? What is this being? He's Starfleet, and basically she wants to communicate, and they're not sure. Alon does cut through. She's like, our job is to understand, not conquest. She's saying that to Beto.
But they start off trying to control it, and then it blows the crap out of them.
Yes, they don't listen. That it's blah blah blah. It blows the hell out of them, and then we get to see the aftermath of that. Yeah. The title tags are actually very cool
and helpful.
Yes,
and for sure, and like that's fun, and that sort of adds to the fun immersion of it.
I do like there's all but also brief. Go back one screen. All brief moment here where you get to see Pike and number one have to reckon slightly with having made a wrong decision.
Yeah.
I thought was
and
cool.
Another cool angle we've never seen before.
Yeah, that's a great shot, in matter of fact.
That bridge is cool. I gotta say, like, seeing these shots and seeing the level of detail in the entire set is really cool.
So, Ortegas, we see again, admits that she had joined initially for adventure.
She's working on a motorcycle, mind you.
Of course, cool. But then she has to fly into war zones and ferries and suffering. It's not the life she expected, but she knows the crew needs her. And like I said before, I like seeing her honesty and not just like funny jokes. Although I do want to say before we move forward, there's a whole like through line with Ortegas that I either forgotten entirely, once again, with all the context. And her brother, I didn't know they were feuding in some sort of way, that there was tension between them throughout these episodes until we get to the reveal at the end.
Well,
I didn't
she's
really pick up
obviously
on that.
uncomfortable with what he's doing. I mean, like, imagine if Nick started doing a documentary about us while we were doing it.
Yeah, but the reveal is something that had to do with some sort of injury she had or some scare.
Well,
is that the Gorn thing?
I think we're still dealing with the repercussions of the Gorn.
Okay, I don't know. I was like, what? I didn't know anything about that. Okay, whatever. So this one chaffs me a little bit too. We have this interaction where Beto is talking to Uhura, and he's basically saying
secretly recording her.
Yeah, but okay, yes. Clearly they're indicating that it's secret recording, but what did she think this guy was doing? Like the whole thing is recorded.
Oh, no. I'm on her side. Like if your documentarian is also your boyfriend,
yeah,
and he's like, okay, we're in boyfriend world now, not documentary world. You gotta be clear about what the rules are.
You know what's funny? Yeah, I get it. I'm with you, but her indignancy there didn't seem like it was just that shooting. It seemed like her putting together was like, oh, this whole thing's been about you're just trying to stick it to us.
She has realized that he does have an objective here.
Yes.
And what you were saying earlier about the documentarian coming in with a
hot take,
with a take that he is trying to prove, as opposed to allow to communicate enough until meaning emerges, right?
I think her insinuation is that he's manipulating them and manipulating his questions around to get.
He's digging for dirt.
Yeah, which. Sure, fine. But we're even presenting it here more interestingly. That once again, the writing feels truncated. It feels a little. That scene felt a little Degrassi high to me and soured me quickly on their romance. So now it's time. Spock's gonna go into the mech, the mind mech, and fight this guy. I don't know why he's got to wear that suit. So.
For a telepathic thing, let's wear battle armor.
They talk about how, we have to reassign the stakes, and he's like, okay, you guys, you could get blowed up, and they're like, well, we're a small enough ship. Nobody's gonna get. We know nobody's gonna get hurt. There's false peril here, so whatever. We go do it.
He's gonna but the concept here is great. Let's go out there and try to communicate with it. Hope it doesn't kill us.
And there's a great assumption, especially knowing it's a short episode, that Spock is this is going to be one of his greatest mind meld achievements, right?
Right.
Because that's what Spock do. But what's cool is that it don't work, because Spock is going at it very sort of mathy. That's the best way I could say it. Like his brain workings are trying to be very mathy with the thing versus just talking with it. At least that's what I picked up. And they get blowed up. But not before the Lutani science is basically a Putin ally is basically like, yo,
let's go.
Make sure you want to do that. And Pike is like, hey, we got an alliance back here. This is
they want to get the weapon to them. They don't want them talking to the weapon. They don't want them to know that it's
your mission here wasn't
thing.
to do any research. It was just to bring us the GD thing.
Yeah.
Guess what, Keith? They get blowed up. And we see everybody hurt and crying and bleeding, and it's there's some cool shots, but no, everybody survives. It's all good.
And it happens off screen, which I thought was interesting that we didn't see it happen. Like that's cool.
We see some like footage of it getting shaky and smoky, and then from within the ship, I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So,
So we get a great point of view shot here from the camera that's inside every one of our televisions that's watching and recording everything we're doing.
So after this, Uhura steps forward. She says communication isn't about imposing its order, but listening for meaning. She reiterates again. And she volunteers. He says, I can't subject you to that. She says, you don't have to. I volunteer. And so she is going to... They retune the array so that she can like kind of sing a little bit. She does some singing. I
got a hum at the thing.
Yeah, she hums and cries and bleeds a little bit.
And I thought there was an interesting point here that like Spock was too telepathic.
Mm-hmm.
And that just sort of fried his circuits, that she needed someone who was not as telepathic to communicate with it because it was coming in too loud.
And all these shots are cool, and you know, it's just a tough thing to show on screen, you know, when you're like brain chatting.
Brain chatting, right.
But,
I mean, the boyfriend's back with the drone.
Yep, and he's like, oh man. But her nose is bleeding, and she's singing some songs, and she whispers, we hear you, or whatever. It says something, but, you know, it is what it is. It's a little hokey. But the resolution of such is really interesting, I think. What we learn, and she's, you know, it's really upsetting what she learns. And what she learns is that the thing is brain melted. It's basically had a lobotomy, right?
Right.
It's brain melted beyond repair. It's actually a parent.
Right.
And it's like, yo, I'm just trying to protect my kids. Please save my kids. And then let me free, like genie free me so that I can go into the sun in a final blaze of glory.
Yeah.
Euthanize me, basically.
Which is where all of a sudden, for me, this episode started working.
Yes! There was 12 minutes left. I remember specifically because I was like, yes!
Because which all of us, and this is like the fascinating thing about this episode is because like it's so sort of like frustrating, confusing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I crying?
Yeah, it's really the last 10 minutes of this is effing beautiful.
It is.
So now we have like a humanitarian crisis. We are actually flirting with what is euthanasia, what is self-deciding your fate, and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And Pike makes a really interesting, I thought was an interesting promise to the being through Uhura that they would protect its child.
Right.
And for a moment, I thought where the episode might go was that he was going to ultimately have to break that promise. We do get an epilogue that he does keep his promise, or at least tries. So then Uhura has a final kind of, I can't remember what her last oneer is, but I think she's coming to the oneers begin to become very much more less questions and more statements about how, yes, ultimately Starfleet is good for us. Right, she has and that's her last conversation with him, where she is basically like, I get why you were doing this, but ultimately Starfleet is it gave me back. It gave me myself back, is what she says. And they all have some other oneers, and she psychoanalyzes him here, which does bother me, I have to say, about how, you know, Keith, in the beginning, and this is where, let me just say it now. You know, I like a Deep Space Nine episode would present both sides of this, right? Mm-hmm. And then let you sit with it. But in this scene, it kind of bastardized it a little bit because even if he had a slight take, I think it's like you said in the beginning of the episode. It's fair to ask this question, right? It's fair. It's fair to wonder, and it's fair to put it under a microscope. But here, she's sort of like, the only reason you're doing this is because you were afraid for your sister, and your sister got hurt, and that's the whole reason. And he sort of agrees, and he's like, yeah. And it sort of cuts the whole question off at the balls because it sort of magics it away.
And it undercuts. Like, I don't care how good Starfleet or your institution is, your country is, it needs to continue, in order to remain good, it must face withering scrutiny.
Yeah.
That is how you remain good, is you continue to scrutinize. You are continually challenged. You have to continue to re-examine your motives and be held accountable. And like, when you don't, bad things happen, folks. And especially for like a military, say, because this is sort of the military version of that, and we are facing a world in which the Starfleet officers, right, are being forced to decide whether or not they follow the unethical or illegal order that is coming, even in the institution that gave them purpose, that is ostensibly created to do something good. When do you pull, do you then follow that unethical order, that illegal order?
Well, that's what this episode is asking, right? And she's able to magic it away here with a clear conscience because, look, we were given an order we want to follow, but then ultimately, through conversation and communication, we realized it was unethical and did the right thing. However,
it's insubordination.
Had it not gone exactly that way, we were going to follow the order. Like, had the thing just followed them to Latan, the Lanai, to quote the Golden Girls, it's still entirely different. It needed to blow up some stuff for this all to happen.
Would they have fought as hard to do the right thing had they not been under the scrutiny of the documentary?
Now, the episode could have still had all those questions asked if they hadn't solved it in this scene, which this is why this scene kind of did not work for me, because it felt like she just magicked away he was the opposing voice, and he should still be asking the question at the end, I think. Anyway.
Well, he should be like, okay, great. I'm glad that it worked out this way. I'm glad that it is this way now. We need to keep scrutinizing this and stay on top of this so it remains this way.
Yes, the rewrite would be, she says, this is why Starfleet works, and this is who I am, which is what she says. And all he had to say as a rebuttal was, well, I will always be the one asking questions to authority. I will always be the one checking. And we leave it there. That would have been great.
Yeah,
but we don't.
We need to keep it this way. Yeah. And we need to go back into, we need to now investigate why the first orders happened.
Yeah.
And what's going on there so that we can figure out what went wrong. Because something went wrong that Starfleet was doing this. It was lack of information or an impossible choice, something like that. That is now what needs to be examined.
Well, luckily, they don't end the episode there, and we do get this extended sequence that's very Shatner and the Whales of, this is where he strong-arms the Latani and is like, yo, don't mess with us.
And this does sort of end imperfectly, right? Because, we're just going to keep getting massacred because we don't have this weapon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so what's Starfleet going to do now, right?
Yeah. Unclear.
Was it really about helping them, or was it about moving chess pieces for us,
I mean, who knows?
But we don't linger there. We linger on this really cool sequence of this creature finally having free will-ish and deciding to end its life in this incredible shot, and then just a hard meditation on it,
Yeah. And it's terribly sad, and it is emotionally affecting. It works.
And then sort of a reconciliation between brother and sister, which is kind of nice. Seeing family and we're kind of understanding sacrifice, and that all these people have decided to be there, right? They're not being used as tools, but that they have decided. And some of the wonders is Uhura says Starfleet gave herself back. La'an says
Mike
Bullion!
There we
Birthday
go.
Bullion!
Birthday Bullion!
And it's cool. And the couple, everybody's doing their thing. I have to say, one of my favorite beats of the whole thing Well, actually, we'll talk about that after. So yeah, we get this kind of sequence about family and sequence about choice and them as people, right? Less weapons and tools and more as people and the family of it. And then we get this extended shot of the sun with this, and finally the intro plays at the end as a credit sequence, which is really cool. So they stick the landing as far as the aesthetic at the ending, I thought.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I think, the message, right? Which answers the question, what is Starfleet? Starfleet is a group of people doing their best.
Yes.
Right? And that's relevant. That's important. What is a country? What is a religion? What is a community of any sort? It's a bunch of flawed people doing their best, trying to, and when they're trying to do their best, it's a good thing. When they're not, it's not a good thing. And it is relative to the situation and the whatever. And I thought it was very effective. But again, I felt like this moment about like family and people and as the validation of what is Starfleet. It's not an institution, it's a group of people. Again, like, how much would this have worked as well as it does if we had only seen 27 episodes of Strange New Worlds and did not have the larger view of all of Trek? I don't know. Does it matter? Because it does exist in a world where we've seen all these other things. I don't know. It's just a question.
Yeah, actually, a really interesting question that is a non sequitur. So let's get to the Punchies first.
Punch that shit!
Punch it, punch it, punch it!
Just punch it, man, just punch it!
Punch it, punch it, punch it!
Let's punch it.
Hit it. Yo, Adrian!
It's the Punchies!
I had a friend ask me just recently, because I was talking about New Kirk and how I didn't know if I was giving him a fair shake and all this stuff. And I haven't even finished the original series. But I was talking about his charisma and stuff the other week. And they said, well, if they rebooted Deep Space Nine, would you like anybody, doesn't matter who would they cast as Cisco? And I was like, no one.
Yeah.
Nobody. So
I agree.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of rebooting, recasting anybody. I don't want a new Picard.
I understand why they want to do this, right? Because the nostalgia factor is what's selling, but
money.
There's plenty of stories to tell. Anyway, okay.
But I think that's an important question, right?
Yes.
And it's like, what do we gain by telling stories of the same characters? How many Kirks do we need? How many Spocks do we need? Absolutely irrespective of the quality of the actors and the writing and the shows, and I think they've been really enjoyable, that kind of stuff. It's, what is Starfleet? What is Star Trek, right? Mm-hmm. It is bigger than these characters. Tell me more stories in this world. I don't need to see the 17th version of the same characters with the same stories.
It does beg the question. Now listen, I know we're doing Voyager. I know that's next. But let me say I've now watched the first 3 episodes of TOS. And I gotta say, man, my mind is blowing a little bit. And I almost wish that I was doing it on Patreon because...
Maybe you should.
Because I know it as a caricature of itself. I know it as a cultural touch point and not a series of television. And as I'm watching it, I keep waiting to laugh at the fact that, oh, it's carpet, oh, it's this, all the tropes.
Right.
And it's not that at all. The fact that show holds up as low budget, especially in this early season, how good it is fundamentally is shocking to me because I have all of the cultural baggage of it.
Right.
And then I, as someone who thinks I'm all about the pew pew or the give me the 4K, give me the widescreen, give me all, and I am. I love the 5.1. Give me it all.
Yeah.
That show didn't need it.
No. Well, but that's Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star Trek doesn't need all the bells and whistles because the bells and whistles are ideas.
So, I think the best moment is, and you mentioned it during the review, is the reveal of what the real core of the episode is, the actual humanitarian nugget of truth inside of this episode.
Yeah.
But I'll let you expound on that. I think for me, the last, and we talked about this too, the last 5 minutes where there's almost no dialogue, and it's just kind of the decision to let the creature go and protect its family, and that sort of that whole family beat is really good.
Yeah.
Because it just wants to protect its kid, and once it gets the assurance that it can do that, it can make its own free will choice. We watch it go into the sun, and we didn't say this in the recap, but they sign a treaty, basically keeping its homeworld as a sanctuary, and that pisses them off pretty hard.
Well, sure, yeah, we took away their super weapon.
But I guess we can do it through treaties and alliances. You know, that's the thing, even as a grown man, I look at our NATO and the world, and I was like, oh, this is all just talk. It's all words.
Of course it is.
It's all just words. But you grew up, you're like, oh yeah, the United Nations, it means something. And it's just like, it takes two people to be like, nah, no.
Well, what is democracy?
Yeah, Article 5, you're like, what the freak?
Like, I've said this before, what is a dollar? It's a piece of paper that we all just choose to believe has value, right? Same with democracy, same with the Starfleet, same with the Federation. It only works if we all decide it means something.
Especially if you decide to give that dollar at patreon.com/KNDan.
And it is so much more fragile than we're thinking, as we have, I used to say, as we are losing it, as we have lost it. We have lost it. It is gone. And it is gone because we forgot that the value of it is in our own belief and actions. And when we start taking it for granted, it goes away.
Yeah, it's like, it's the HOA, man. Everybody talks about how much they hate their HOA, and listen, I'm with you. But it is nice when that grass gets cut. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to take the good, you take the bad, and you got to fight for what's right. If you don't show up to the meeting, you don't get to complain. Yeah. You didn't say your best moment, Keith, but I think we know.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Best moment. Yeah, I mean, best moment is the compassion that we all, the double level of compassion that we show, allowing this creature to go out on its own terms, but we all choose to witness it and feel it and give it the respect as an entity with free will and intelligence, probably for the first time in this creature's life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like those YouTube videos you watch, and it's like, this dog has never seen friendship, and then they bring it home, and it like makes friends with a kitten, and you break down crying.
I can't watch those. I die.
Me? I have to know they have a happy ending, though.
Oh yeah, no. If I know there's a happy, but it kills me. I can't. I'm not strong enough.
You get some stambles. Hell yeah, they are self-sealing. Here are some stambles for you.
I texted Keith last night, spoiler alert. I was like, the first time in all the reviews we've done, I just don't know. Because, as we said, those last few moments, once it kind of knows what it is, the episode, are beautiful. Problem is, it's like the last 15 minutes, and the episode's only 38 minutes long, and the rest of it just feels like, and I guess we'll just rehash our conversation, but just feels like it's trying really hard. I can feel it trying so hard. The aesthetic is trying really hard. The thesis is trying really hard. The cuts of what they're saying for like these long form interviews, I'm assuming, right? These were long sit down. The things that make an actual documentary work is that the one-on-ones are extended and they're within context. Right. And so Beto is a bad documentarian because he's just cutting up sound bites that just sort of feel trite when strung together. But obviously,
and I can barely follow the story he's trying to tell.
And there's like these little dangling chads of other things, like Uhura's friend from school and this beef between Ortegas and her brother that like are there to add color, but really are just sort of red herrings that confuse an already jumbled thing. You might think that's texture. It didn't quite work for me. And ultimately, And just as a documentary, it doesn't work. Like, I appreciate they commit to the aesthetic or their decided aesthetic, but they don't really commit to it. And unlike a episode, you know, where we're doing a murder mystery, or we're doing Trouble with Tribbles, which is like the shining example of committing to an aesthetic. I don't know. It for the first time in a series that I've defended all along, and I do enjoy it, I'm starting to lose the plot a little bit. I'm starting to lose the sort of like, I thought early in the season we were finding our tone and doing what we do well. And here, once again, I'm like, just feels like we're searching for what our tone is or the why. And I don't know. That's tough because I'm not saying it's a bad episode. I'm just saying it's making me feel weird in the grand scheme. Because there's only 3 left, and I don't really know what we've been doing here. This season feels a lot less coherent as a season as the other 2 have. And thus the whole show is now I'm starting to see where you as a whole, you're just like, yeah, I mean, it's all right. Like, but what are we doing? That's kind of where I'm feeling, and I can't decipher whether that's the show or the episode. But ultimately, I'm left feeling like I'm okay. So I'm gonna give it, oh man, what's the lowest I've given this season?
This season, the lowest you've given is a 74.
And which one was that?
That was Shuttle to Kenfor, the zombie episode.
So I don't think it's that bad. So I'll have to go 77.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're just sort of talking about the series as a whole now.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
Like,
no one cares anyway.
No one's watching this. We're talking to ourselves. So I mean, if we zoom back in on the episode, right, and zoom because I was talking about before, like this episode is confusing without a ton of cultural knowledge and context of Star Trek and the series and like all of that. But so it's confusing as an episode. Now imagine this was a documentary.
Right.
And you hadn't met any of these people before. You didn't really know much about Starfleet at all. This documentary, as a documentary itself, is utterly incomprehensible. I have no idea what is happening if I'm just watching this documentary. And so it's a mess, right? And it has an emotionally satisfying conclusion, but almost that sort of like manipulation. But I don't think I've learned anything through this documentary whatsoever, and I would be so confused. Like, it's like you should show this to somebody who's never seen Star Trek before. And they'd be like, what? What even is happening here? So, and it comes back to the same thing.
Yeah, you're right. This episode should stand on its own. Like,
yes,
because of the premise of it.
You should be able to show this to somebody who has never seen Star Trek, and they would be able to follow it and get something out of it. And I don't think you would. And it's I guess the whole thing about this show, and I think this is a high quality show, and I think it is better. I think it for me, it is more satisfying than Disco. I think it's more successful than Disco. But it feels frantic, and the series does, because of the time limitations. These episodes are so expensive to look as fantastic as they do. You can only do 10 episodes. Well, you know what? I would rather have the budget of the episodes and double the length of the seasons, so we actually get time to get to know any of these people and get to know this world and get to know what's happening here and the stories, because it feels like we're just watching it feels like we're watching the trailer to a great Star Trek series.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, those are all really interesting elements. I can't wait to see the story. And we're just getting trailers. And as a result, I don't feel emotionally connected to what's happening because I don't know any of these people. I don't know this world. I don't know what's happening. It looks great. Those pew-pews are really exciting. These are great actors. It's shot beautifully. It's like there's really good couplets of dialogue. I'd love to see the whole script. and that's sort of what I'm feeling about this whole thing. So, in the end, here's the twist. At the end, I felt something. And that's really saying something. I was emotionally invested. I was emotionally moved by the end of this thing, so I can't just trash it because it worked in that way. So you get 74 self-sealing stem bolts for me. It's not as bad as we're sort of talking about it.
And to think, Hemmer gave his life for this.
Hemmer gave his life for this, for sure. Wait, who's Hemmer and why is Hemmer?
They did the big death of a main character in the first season.
Well, Star Trek's famous for that.
Yeah.
But like, if you totaled up the actual screen time of any character that wasn't Pike, Spock, or Chapel, you couldn't even do an episode. Because it's frantic.
Can we be done with Beto and Uhura now? Are they done?
I don't care.
Well said.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Hold on. I didn't write down what is the next episode. Let's find out what the next title of the episode is coming up shortly. Hold on to your butts. It's gonna be 4.5 Vulcans. See, this actually kind of sounds fun. It looks like we're gonna turn some of our heroes into Vulcans. That sounds delightful.
It does.
So who knows? I look forward to that. We'll see you back next week. We're going to talk about them Vulcans and see what happens. Thank you for watching. You can see all of our other shows. Check them out. Go to patreon.com/K&M to give us money for this lukewarm feeling about this show. We will see you back here next week with another episode of Strange New Showcase. Mike, watch Strange New Worlds.
Oh. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, join us at patreon.com/K&M.
Yeah.